ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Thrashers Paradise, the place where a lot of people assume it's just thrash, and I'm here to say it's not, but we're joined with a thrash guy. Hey! Misleading intro. No, I am joined with James. He is the vocalist and one of the guitarists of Ottawa's Lycantharo. I hope I pronounced
Lycanthro.
Lycanthro?
Mm-hmm.
Lycanthro, okay. So, right off the bat, I do gotta ask, how often do people mispronounce the name?
All the time. It's actually hilarious because there's about 3 different. I've heard 5 different pronunciations, and that one you just said is actually a new one. So 5. So it used to be 4, now it's 5 now. So there's the one you just said. There's I heard one person say Lycanthro once. Lycanthro. I'm like, okay. But the 3 most common ones is the proper way to say it is Lycanthro, but I've heard people say Lycanthro as well, and that also, it's like tomato, you know?
Okay.
And then my favorite one, and it's only Quebecers say this because of their accent, they say Lycanthro. And it's they can't help it, it's just because of their accent, you know? But that's what I always hear. So there's 5 now.
Jesus. That is funny. Well, I guess I should ask this on top of that. Now, when it came to creating the band name, did you expect that at the beginning, like, people are probably going to guess the band name wrong? Or was this, like, something that changed over time and there was a different band name?
No, I didn't think that was going to happen at all, to be honest, because the name... I'm assuming you're wondering, like, where the name came from, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so this is a story I've told a few times, and it's freaking hilarious. So, back when Lycanthro first started, we weren't called Lycanthro. So my old band had broken up, and we were called Death Wish. That was my old high school band. And so I remember when I formed the band that would eventually become Lycanthro, I was in college at the time, and there's a local record store near where I live, like 5 minutes down the road from me. And it's also where the bus station is. Like, the bus station to go from where my house is to the college is at like this little like mall. And if there was like a long wait, I'd go to the record store. And so I'm in there and I'm flipping through the metal section, and I pull out an LP that it's by a British band, and the album's called At the Edge of Damnation. And I look at the name, and the name's Death Wish. And at first, I thought it was hilarious, so I immediately bought it. And then I called up the guys who were in the band at the time, and I said, "Hey guys, I just found this in an Ottawa record store, literally 5 minutes from my house. We should change the name." So we did, and kind of what we were thinking is we went through several different like ideas, and the one thing that I kind of wanted the theme to be is wolves or werewolves, because I've always had a big affinity for wolves, and I've always seen like a lot of bands in metal like do the vampire thing.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, they kind of have like the vampire imagery a lot, you know, like Hellstar or Seven Spires or Flesh God Apocalypse. You know, they have kind of like the Victorian-y kind of vampire aesthetics. So I thought, well, why don't we do the same thing but with werewolves? And I don't mean and I don't mean like what Powerwolf does. I mean like I don't mean what Powerwolf does. I mean like, you know, like, oh, you know, we're still a melodic band, but we're still heavy too. You know, that's why it's like power thrash, you know, or I always say heavy power metal, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so went through a bunch of different names, and I thought I saw the name Lycanthrope, like the scientific term for what a werewolf is, and I saw there was a bunch of bands called that. And I thought, what if I take the PE off? Lycanthro. Okay, that has a nice ring to it, and that's eventually how it came to be.
Wow, that is actually a really cool story.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. If I could, I would show you the album, but I don't know where it is, so.
No worries. But you've been a busy man, not with being interviewed, but for being the interviewee. No.
Interviewer.
You've been the interviewer in your latest series on Instagram, and you've gotten some pretty big guests on recently. Lindsay Schoolcraft. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
What,
Lindsay's a sweetheart. Yeah.
what was it like to hear that yes back from Lindsay to be part of your Instagram series?
Um, that's another kind of cool story is because so the thing is that for this series is that it's not really. I don't really consider it like an interview series. It's more almost like a talk show. Like I kind of call it like I always joke to people I'm like the metal Conan O'Brien, I guess. So that's kind of where I kind of steer towards that. But Lindsay, what happened with her was one of my best friends in the scene is her name's Gaia Guarda. She's from the band Uriel. They're from Montreal,
Okay.
and they're like a symphonic metal band from Montreal. And we played their album release show with them, and since we're both, I always call it the singer bond. I find that the lead singers of the bands are always the ones that like are kind of become the best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So she's one of my best friends in the kind of greater Ontario, Quebec metal scene.
Okay.
And it was Lindsay was like a mutual friend because she's best friends with Lindsay. And so that's what happened was so I asked Guy, I said, hey, I'm gonna ask Lindsay to be on my show. If she asks about, I'm gonna mention your name. If she asks about me, could you vouch for me? And she goes, yeah, absolutely. But she didn't. She just said like, yeah, I'd love to because I kind of figured it would work out just because I've seen her do stuff like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen her like she's very active on Instagram and she's always on those kind of talk show things and all that. So yeah, and she's definitely one of the best interviews I've had. She's super sweet, knowledgeable, and I find she's definitely someone who, from what I've heard, and I've definitely seen this in interacting with her, is that she's like once you get to know her, and if she likes you, then she'll help you with like whatever,
Yes.
If you're friends with her, she'll take care of you. I've found that's what I've heard from people.
Yeah.
And it seems that way because she was like very great with us and gave us a lot of good advice and all that. So yeah.
And I can completely attest to what you were saying because I surprisingly enough am friends with her too, of all things. But no, we figured this out a year later because you were originally this was supposed to happen a year ago because you were about to do a tour. I believe it was across Ontario, or was it across Canada?
Canada, actually.
Canada. And your last show date was in my hometown of Hamilton, Ontario, which I found pretty funny because Hamilton as a last stop? What? But no, that was supposed to happen. Then, of course, the really fun times that brought our country together has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now, a year later, around the same time, we're finally doing this interview. Probably not the way we expected it, but we're doing an interview even bigger because it's for your full length that's due out on June 4th, Mark of the Wolf. Now, James, just take me through it. What Mark of the Wolf is about?
Well, it's sort of a culmination of a lot of the songs that we wrote early on and some of the newer songs, because a lot of the songs that are on the album were kind of songs from very early on. Like when we first started the band, two of the tracks on there are actually from before Lycanthro was even a band. It was from my old band, and they're two songs that I took with me and I kind of cultivated, and those songs being Into Oblivion and Ride the Dragon. But then we wrote Crucible. Crucible was which is the single that's out. That was technically the very first Lycanthro song. And yeah, no, this album is pretty much just a huge cultivation of our work from the kind of early part of our sound. Because one thing that a lot of people have noticed, and a lot from the new stuff I've shown people, is that we're kind of gearing more towards like the old school, like kind of power metal side of things, more with like our more stuff that we're writing now. But this is sort of like, as you said earlier, this is like very much like when we were still heavy thrash.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of more melodic-y songs on here, but this is still when we were very much like an old school style, like New Watum style band. So yeah, that's kind of how it came together. Most of the songs on the album were songs that were written years ago, and some of the songs were actually stuff that we've released before. Like we had a demo that we put out when we first started, and 3 out of the 4 songs from that demo are on this album. And it's pretty much because these songs, from what we heard from people who heard that demo, they pretty much said, yeah, these are good songs, but the production was terrible, which it was. And so I thought all these songs deserve to have a really good production, and they deserve to be heard as they're intended. So,
yes.
yeah.
Awesome. Now, as you brought up, Crucible, which is the first single off of the album, which you can listen to now on Bandcamp, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you choose to listen to music. As you mentioned, it was the first song that your band did write together. So did that make it easy for it to be the first track to be released from the album?
Yeah. Well, actually, I wrote the song myself.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah. No, that's cool, dude. I wrote this, but that was the first song written for Lycanthro, was Crucible. And yeah, that was always intended to be the first single. That was intended to be kind of the main song of the album, because that's the song that everyone we know says that it's their favorite. Everybody, that's the one song we refuse to take off the set. We play every show, and we always either open or close with it because it works for either. And yeah, and Crucible is pretty much like the best kind of summation of who we are as a band, at least in terms of, as I said, the sort of heavy thrash kind of sense.
Yeah.
Because when I originally wrote it, I originally envisioned it being a death song, but with clean vocals. That's kind of what I was going for. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have it's gonna be like Rob Halfordy vocals, but the guitars will be really evil sounding and have some kind of complicated licks here and there, So
yeah,
that's kind of how. And that's a song that people seem to gravitate the most towards, because it's a song that I think anybody can like who likes metal, regardless of what subgenre I like. In that song, I find there's something for everyone, every single kind of subgenre that you could like, aside from maybe anything that has weird instruments in it, like folk metal. But I still love folk metal, though. But pretty much anyone of any genre can like it. And I've heard lots of different people from many walks of the metal life say that it's a song that they can get behind and appreciate. So that's definitely why we picked that as the first single. And it seems to have been the right choice, because we got, so far at least, is we have a combined total of, I think, 8 or 9K views on the song on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, well, on our YouTube page there isn't a lot because we don't have a lot of subscribers, but but there's a guy who we know who he's from Brazil, who he runs a page called New Autumn Full Albums, and he posts new music from bands all the times, and he has this massive following. So if your stuff gets on his channel, there's going to be lots of people listening to it, because there's people who follow his channel, listen to everything he posts. This dude's definitely like an old school metal influencer, if you will. So we've gotten a lot of views from that, and as you've seen, we got it featured on Metal Injection and Brave Words and all that. So it seems to me that it was the right call to make that song the first single. So yeah, and I'm very happy with how it's turned out.
Now, besides that song, this album is a big deal for your band, because this is the first ever full length to be released under that name, under your name. Now, you being one of the, well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the only original, if I can English, the only original member remaining, for you personally, how important is Mark of the Wolf to you?
Well, it's for me, I find it's very much, it's very important. It's because, as I told you, it's sort of it's the culmination of us as a band in terms of the early stages, because we're still writing lots of new music that's very, very different from what you hear on here. But this is the kind of thing where this album definitely had a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into it, because the production was very, very difficult. Everything, it was like Spinal Tap. Everything that could have went wrong. We had, again, as you saw, we had lineup changes during the record, lineup changes not during the recording, but around the time of the production.
Okay.
I think it was after we'd already recorded all the instruments, but there was that. We had lots of problems with the people who we got, the engineer. which none of it, it's no one's fault at all, but like it was sort of just bad luck. Like it's sort of like, oh, he had to like kind of drop the project for a while because of personal issues, and our mixer the same. So it was, and there was a lot of sort of recultivating the album a lot. Like one thing I remember I had to do was I actually had to re-record most of the vocals because when I did them originally, I found out I actually had vocal edema, so I couldn't sing for like almost like most of 2019.
Oh,
Yeah, no, because I couldn't do like the high screams and stuff, anything like that. And I recorded the album, and we got the first rough mixes back. I'm like, oh, this sounds horrible, you know. So because of the pandemic, I had to record most of the vocals at home. Actually, like I already had an interface. I got a good mic, and I had to re-record a bunch of the vocals at home. And it was definitely it was very tough, but it was definitely very rewarding. And with the end product, it was definitely very worth it. You know, so it's very important for us because it's very much like we put so much work and effort into this album. So we're really excited to hear people's thoughts on it and to kind of move forward as a band from this.
awesome. Now, you had an EP that came out a couple of years ago entitled Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from that EP to now, Mark of the Wolf, for you, do you think your band has taken a step forward? Well, no. Let me rephrase the question. Jesus.
Backwards.
I got lost in translation. Now, okay, here's a better one. For you mentally, when it came to the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse to now, Mark of the Wolf, what for you mentally changed the most and the biggest?
Well, it was definitely the production side of things, because when we recorded not Mark of the Wolf, when we recorded Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, I was still in college at that point, and I was actually going through audio engineer school, like for recording.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got the know-how to be able to like kind of do this a lot of this album from home now. And what happened with that was, because the songwriting, I feel like the caliber of the songwriting, I think, is like kind of the same as on Four Horsemen. I think maybe slightly better, but Four Horsemen was like a very different from this. Like Four Horsemen was a bit more proggy, like a bit more sort of like, really long-winded songs. but I think the thing that mentally changed with me is that when we released Four Horsemen, we kind of got the same criticism as we did with the demo. Like less so, but it was still there. It was still like, these are really great songs, but the production needs to be better. And I kind of figured, well, with the genre that we're playing, being sort of like power metal, heavier, like heavy thrash power metal, that's a genre that if you know any of the bands that are kind of known for playing that stuff, like like Primal Fear or stuff like that, that the production is very, very high. Like it's a kind of music that demands high production. So that was kind of the main thing that changed mentally for me, was I thought, okay, with this new album, we have to get the right people to mix it and master it and all that stuff. We have to record it the right way. We have to have the production as best as we can get it, because that's the main thing that we always got told by people, is that they say your songwriting's great, but the production needs to be better. So that was my main kind of mental shift, was, okay, I know these songs are good. We need to have the production be as good as the songs themselves. So I guess that's, to answer your question, that's definitely the most, that's the thing that definitely mentally changed the most with me in terms of the process.
Awesome. Now, I will say this, because I do follow you on Instagram. I forget if it's you or the band's Instagram account, which you all at home should follow, because you have a lot of fun with it. I will say that. And I say this because I want to talk about this one specific video, and that's the Dragon Force one.
Oh my god!
I watched that, and I gotta say, you have an amazing voice.
Thank you.
And I just love the playback feature you did when you just replaced everything you did with "you suck."
Yeah.
For you, for you, do you feel that it's important to show that you as a band have a lot of fun behind the scenes and in real life, just so your fans can get to know you a bit better, or did you just want to do it because why the hell not?
Kind of both actually, because the thing with that was the reason why we started trying to produce more diverse stuff on our Instagram page was mainly because of kind of the lack of it in the past. Because what happened was right before the pandemic. Well, actually, no, like at the very beginning of the pandemic, we had two members leave, and
Yeah.
one of them was used to run the Instagram page. And when
Oh.
he left, he said, "Okay, James, here's the Instagram, here's the password stuff for." Because we used to do like kind of halfsies. I used to run half of them, and he used to run half of them. And he goes, "Okay, here's my half here." So now I've had to do all of them now, pretty much. And so I had to learn Instagram. And the thing about it was, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was a really depressing time, honestly, because we
Oh
didn't
yeah.
do anything musically. We didn't post anything for like 6 months because our main focus was looking for new members, which we did, which we found two great new guys. But when we got back to when we got these guys together, I thought, okay, I have to start posting again more, just to get people like kind of remember who we are. And
Yeah.
I remember for a while it sucked. Like for a while, like I was posting stuff and it was mainly like the algorithms. Like no one was seeing it, no one was liking, no one was commenting. And I thought, what the hell? Like we used to get like back when we used to play shows constantly, we used to get so much reach and so much interaction on our posts. And just because we've been inactive for 6 months, now all that's gone. So I had to rebuild from that. And I got a lot of advice from a lot of great people, like as I said, Gaia from Uriel, she's one of them. Matt Bacon from Dropout Media, Andy Dowling from the band Lord. These are all people who are very much like social media experts. Like
Hmm.
they know what to do to get those views back.
Yeah.
And what the main thing they said was you have to diversify what you post, diversify your content. Like don't just post stuff about your band. Don't like okay, no, not don't just post like listen to our shit, listen to our shit, listen to our shit all the
Yeah.
time, because
Yeah.
that gets old really quick. So I was always trying to like kind of like rake my mind, trying to think of new things to post. And I got that idea from a friend of mine named Sam Landa. She's from the band Dead Asylum, Conquer Divide. And she was doing kind of the similar thing with her, because she's a drummer. And she was
Okay.
doing kind of like these drum comedy videos. And I like asked her, and I had her on one of those streams that I did. And I said, hey, would I be able to do something similar? Because I think as a vocalist, I can make similar stuff like that and be just as funny, but also very impactful as well. And she goes, "Yeah, go for it." And so I guess I thought it'd be funny to have a video where I didn't even know what I was gonna sing. I just sang the first thing that came to my mind, which was "Through the Fire and Flames." So I did that, and I wanted to experiment with the Reels feature on Instagram because that's like the big thing now. Like if you post Reels, they get so much more views than like a regular post. So I tried that, and it blew up. Like I was not expecting that. Like I think currently, and I'm still seeing people like liking it and seeing it, and it's currently sitting at I think 100K views on Instagram, and
Oh
I was just like,
God.
what the hell, And it's and at the same time, it's sort of, and that's when I kind of realized I'm like, we have to start posting more unique stuff because that's what gets you noticed, and that's what
Yeah.
gets more people to like. We got more interaction and followers from that one post than the past like 30. So that's when I figured, okay, we aside from our usual music stuff, we have to post things that people like think are not necessarily has to be funny, but like things that people will look at and they can relate to, and they can be, oh, this isn't just another metal band.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, I bring it up because there's this band out in Calgary. I don't know if you heard of them. They're called Illyrium. They're a more death metal band.
Are you talking about the weightlifting thing, like the video?
Yes, the Full House.
Yes, yeah,
I video.
Yeah, stuff like that is awesome. Like, more people should be doing stuff like that.
I just remember on Instagram scrolling through, I watched it, and I'm like, what the hell? It was so random, but you're right. No, more people like that. Like, I think I should start trying to do stuff like that, but it's like, what do I do? Like, there's so many options, and it's like, I can't just pick one. So for you, do you have to like write it down? Like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do first, then this, or is it just like spark of the moment? It's just like, okay, we're doing that. Boom.
Again, kind of both, because because whenever I got the idea, I have to kind of just be like, okay, this is what, like, the punchline's going to be this, and I have to kind of figure out what I'm going to do here. Like, and, like, I don't know if you saw, but, yesterday, not yesterday, but 2 days ago, we did a sequel, Guitarist Recording Struggles.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
and,
I saw that.
It was sort of a similar thing where it's, well, usually what I tried to do for those, I'm going to try and do more of them, like, we had a little bit of a trouble with the guitarist one, but I'll explain that in a second. But I'm going to try and do more like singer ones, because those seem to be very untapped. Because the reason I got the other reason I forgot to mention I got the idea for that was on my show, and just in general, I talked to so many singers. Like, those are the people I like to talk to the most, because, we can relate to the most. And one thing that's very constant, even with some really big singers, like even some people who are quote unquote like famous or whatever, is that we all are very self-loathing. We're also very self-critical of ourselves. We all think, even if you're a good singer, we all think we sound terrible. And so I kind of thought, well, why don't we make a video where, and it's always when you're recording. When you're recording, you'll think you sing one of the parts, and you think it's like an amazing take, and you listen back to it, and it's shit. And it happens to the best, of us. So, and again, even like big singers who I've talked to have said the exact same thing. So I thought, well, how about we like do something that's very like kind of be funny and kind of relatable to people. And I did that because that's kind of what you hear is like the "you suck," it is what you hear, because whenever you do a take, no matter how good you think it is, usually it doesn't sound that great. And on the flip side of this, I was actually talking with Krista from Lycantharo about this on my show.
Yeah.
Is sometimes when you're recording, the takes that you think or like, that was okay, that's the ones that's usually the best. That's the one where the ones that you least suspect are the ones that are usually going to be the ones you end up using. So that's kind of how that came about, was just sort of doing the whole like, what can we do to like highlight struggles that us vocalists have in a relatable and funny way. And the other thing I was going to mention about the guitar thing, which I didn't know this, and I was just I woke up this morning to someone commented on this on the guitarist one, the guitarist recording struggles.
Yeah.
Because on the singer one, when something gets viewed that much, there's going to be a couple of negative comments, and there was. And, they don't really faze me that much. But the one today, I found hilarious. Some guy posted, oh, K-Mac already did a video like this. You're fucking try hard, and a K-Mac wannabe. And I'm just thinking, I don't even follow K. I know who he is. I'm like, I don't even follow K-Mac. What the hell, And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh shit, sure enough, he did. But it's whatever. I literally like respond to the guy thinking, I'm like, I know who K-Mac is, but I legitimately don't follow him, so I'm sorry, but I didn't know. So yeah, no, but I'm really glad that those videos have kind of resonated with people in the way that they have.
Awesome. Now, I do want to bring this up because I don't know when it got taken off, but it was, I believe, on your Facebook it mentioned all the bands you have performed with. And I was just blown away with the amount of bands you got to perform with. Because, if I'm not mistaken, I definitely remember Power Glove, Ex Mortis, I believe Hammerfall.
Yep.
And that's just 3. And I'm just like, lucky! The hell?
Well, another one is someone you've had on your show, actually, Unleash the Archers.
That's right. Yes, I remember seeing that. Jesus, for you, like for you? Was it just like a, oh my god, I'm actually going to perform with these guys? Like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm. It's it's absolutely surreal, man. Like, and the reason what you're saying about the Facebook page, the reason it's not there anymore, is because Facebook, at least for like the like kind of artist or business pages, because the artist, musician, band falls under the business pages.
Yeah.
Under the new formatting on Facebook, they took out a bunch of the about section. Like they took out like 90% of it, like of every page. It really sucks. And but in terms of the bands we played with, we're very fortunate, very thankful, and the thing about it is, it's, as I said, it's very surreal because these are bands that I've dreamed about playing with since I was in like middle school. Like I have vivid memories. Like, so the big metal venue here is called Mavericks, and I have vivid memories of when I was in middle school. I used to go on the ski trips at the school ski trips in middle school, and we'd always pass by downtown Ottawa, and we'd always pass by Mavericks. And I'd look out and I'd be like, oh man, what I wouldn't give to play there. And now we've played there a lot, and not only that, but played there with so many of these big bands who I idolize and all that. And I actually find that it's also where we live, because Ottawa doesn't get a lot of big shows, like it's in between Montreal and Toronto. So, and we have this one great promoter here. Her name is Christina Casper. She works for Chord Productions. And whenever a big band comes through, if she's able to get them, she'll get them. Like, usually what happens is, the way it kind of goes is, if there's a big tour coming through, they'll see if there's a day off around the tour schedule. Or sometimes the manager will message her, be like, hey, we want to play Ottawa, blah, blah, blah. But usually what happens is, she'll do that, and she'll book it at Mavericks, and it's usually very cool and intimate, because these are all bands that are used to playing much bigger venues.
Yeah.
And they're in this small venue, but it's great because they'll always be sold out if it's a big band. Like, for example, I consider Unleash the Archers, when we played with them and Stryker, that was probably the best show we've ever played, because I've never seen a show there where the crowd was literally lining up around the block to see Unleash the Archers, and it was absolutely amazing, to the point where like setup and takedown of our gear was hell because we had no room. but yeah, so like, as I was saying, opening for all these bands, it's just an honor and a privilege, and I've got to meet and got to like get to know some of the bands, and they're all delightful people. Like, the ones I can point out the most are we opened for Battle Beast. Nora from Battle Beast, their singer, she's really incredible. Me and her like talked vocals in the green room for like 2 hours. Very sweet, very helpful. The guys from Hammerfall were all very great. They were all very, for a band of their stature, who they like headlined Vakin and stuff like that. They are very humble, very nice guys. To the point where there was one thing I remember their singer, Joaquin Cans, said to me. And normally, this is something that normally people would kind of just brush off, but it impacted me a lot. Just the fact that this person who's of this size said this. Was I was chatting with him, the drummer from one of the other bands, our friend Infrared, the drummer comes up to me and says, hey, James, do you know where we're supposed to put the kit or whatever? I said, oh, here, let me show you. And then I said, oh, sorry, Joaquin, because he had to go anyways. I said, oh, sorry, man, I just have to go help him out, local band shit. And he looks at me, he goes, oh, I know, man, we don't believe me, I've been there many times. And that's one of those things where it kind of resonated with me, where I thought, a lot of these bands haven't kind of gotten the big rock star mentality, and they still appreciate where they got to where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all these bands, there's only, out of all the big bands we played with, and I won't mention any names, there was only one that we played with that was not very pleasant. Other than that, they've all been great. Like Unleash the Archers, Battle Beast, Hammerfall, Diamond Head, they've all been very, very great. Shows have always been awesome. They've always been the best shows to play. And they definitely look good on a resume, that's for sure.
I was about to say, but still, like, that is amazing. And that is cool. Now, there is one last question I do have to ask you. Now, Now, you've known about the channel for a while now, I hope.
Mhm.
And you should know what this question is.
Oh, I know what's coming. I know what's coming.
Well, it's a simple question, as you know, to test your metal knowledge. Who would win in a fight, Lemmy or God?
Trick question, Lemmy is God.
Correct. That's correct.
I knew it. I was just like, oh, I knew this was coming up.
I don't throw the curveballs until the second interview, where then they start thinking about, oh, crap. What do I say now? But James, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. I'm glad we were able to finally make this happen. Is there anything else you would like to say to the wonderful people watching this on YouTube?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. It's really, really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun, and I'll say, as Colin said earlier, go pre-order our album Mark of the Wolf on lycanthromerch.bigcartel.com. We're currently at 14% of our pre-sale goal, so help us out. Go order a CD. We're going to have more merch being put up there in the next week or so, and yeah, stream on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you prefer. And thanks for all the support. Thanks for everything. And thank you again for having me on, man. This has been a lot of fun.
My pleasure. And until next time, everyone, keep on thrashing.
Stay metal, my friends.